We're in Geneva at the 151st Assembly of the Inter-Parliamentary Union. And Member of Parliament in India's upper house, the Rajya Sabha, Sasmit Patra, who is part of India's delegation, is now sitting with me. It's been a fascinating few days in Geneva. Mr. Patra, I appreciate your time. Let me take away from the immediate highlight, and this happened a couple of days ago. You saw the Speaker of the Pakistan Assembly come and raise the issue of Kashmir. He's spoken about the Indus Water Treaty. India has then given a right to reply. What is played out here, sir? What has been the reply?
You see, Pakistan is, by its nature, always tries to be an irritant. And they try to always bring about the issue of Kashmir and now Indus. And India, on its part, on a right to reply, has responded very strongly, saying that Kashmir continues to be an inalienable part of India. And secondly, as far as the Indus Water Treaty is concerned, it was based on goodwill, and various aspects have changed by then, such as the situation relating to climate, relating to demographics. So therefore, one has to be looked from that perspective. So Pakistan, unfortunately, is today sidelined, is today solitary, doesn't find any support in Kashmir. So I believe it has become their political agenda only for survival in the domestic politics. In the international scenario, we meet the 186 parliaments here in Geneva right now, and we meet with hundreds of members of parliament, and no one ever mentions about it. Everybody's going gaga about India and its economy and its development and the progress that India is doing. So therefore, Pakistan has become a passe. It has become a story that people are starting to discount, and heavily.
As the world's largest democracy, uh, with an increasing global presence, what is the summation that we can bring in a messaging and practical help when it comes to the promotion of human rights and democracy?
India is seen as a beacon of peace, security, nonviolence, and as a country that believes in democracy and human rights. Being the largest democracy in the world, civilizationally, we have been one of the, we call ourselves as the mother of democracy. Uh, Countries and parliaments across the world, whenever they face some crisis of faith in democracy, are looking towards India and seeing how India, despite its diversity, is able to bring so many people across caste, creed, community, religion, dialects, regions together. And that has become a model, a mosaic model of trying to find unity in diversity. So therefore, the big message that India gives to the world today at an international forum like in Geneva, where we are, is that yes, as a nation, think about where we were in 1947, when people used to question us as a democracy, and look at us today in 2025 and the progress that we have made. So as far as human rights and democracy is concerned, India is today seen as probably a beacon and as a role model as to how parliaments and democracies must evolve.
What is changing at international forums like this, where you mentioned more than 180 countries and members of parliament are here, which is pretty much every country on the face of the planet? Because, of course, within the territorial boundaries of India, we have our own politics and our political systems which are responsible for the maintenance of that democracy. But do we have an all of country, a more united approach when it comes to representing India in international forums, as we've seen post Operation Sindoor, where cross party delegations went to various places in the world? So, as an Indian MP, when you're meeting, what's the position that you take for India, which is different? Of course, our politics at home is vibrant.
I believe as soon as we cross the shores of India, we are an Indian member of parliament. All the political party you represent, the ideologies or the views which may be different or difficult to fathom inside the democracy within the domestic politics blurs. I'll give you an example. You referred to Operation Sindoor. I was fortunate to be part of a delegation on Operation Sindoor. And from 2019 onwards, I've been a regular participant of the IPU delegations. I've always felt that when you sit behind the flag of India, when you sit behind the name board of India, something changes. You do not think about your small little squabbles that you have back home. You think about how India as a nation, given its prominence today and the growing prominence today, puts up a united front, a united face, and talks to the world saying that we are on the high table today and we are going to take it forward, and that the world listens to you with respect and with growing admiration. So, as a member of parliament, when we come from different political parties, when we come to an international forum like this, we put up a very united front, and there's a tremendous synergy.
I have to ask you, the biggest conversation globally is artificial intelligence. India has its own program in both promotion of policy in the private sector and the public sector in artificial intelligence and the application of it. We're starting with things like translations and moving forward. How do we then go about embracing this so that there is no new digital divide that is created in AI?
Artificial intelligence, in my humble opinion, is going to be the biggest liberator reducing digital divide in our country. Digital divide was there because historically we are always playing catch up, whether that was the internet, whether there were various other value added services. But with artificial intelligence, and especially the way we are growing as an economy, it can be a great leveler in actually reducing the digital divide. Let me explain. We are always looking at large language models, LLMs, as probably the liberators. No, the micro LLMs, which will be in regional languages, are going to be the key going forward. Our country is so vast with 1.4 billion people that there is a space for micro LLMs and semi micro LLMs as well. So therefore, while we talk about a chat, DeepSeek or a chat GPT, there are going to be like Bhashini we have. Or for that matter, we are now in the Lok Sabha, we already have an AI platform which is trying to digitize and use AI language models to do the agenda papers in regional languages. So many such activities are there, which artificial intelligence is coming in. And for a country like India, we have always leveraged technology to pivot ourselves over the last 25 to 40 years. So whether it was the STD booth telephones, whether that was the internet cables, or now artificial intelligence, technology always has given it that pivot, which probably historically we never got. So therefore, I'm very confident that artificial intelligence, here also we're talking a lot about artificial intelligence. On the sidelines of it, India also proposed agenda for a resolution, which I placed before the Sustainable Development Committee, for role of artificial intelligence in developing parliamentary democracy. So those are conversations that are really happening now in this international sphere. So it's not only about economy and trade and commerce and technology, but how can artificial intelligence also strengthen the political and the democratic fabric, including parliamentary?
Very interesting. Every year that one attends one summit to the next, the scale of change in India has been very dramatic from where we were 10 years ago, 20 years ago to where we are now as the fourth largest economy, maybe in 18 months, the third largest economy. Uh, what is then the perception with which India is being perceived when you are meeting people from all over the world in forums like this?
I'll give a very interesting perspective. 2019, Belgrade, Serbia. I attended in October. That was right after Article 370 abrogation and around the time when we're going for the CA. At the time, when we went for bilaterals, we would seek out bilaterals. Cut to 2024-25. Now, the so-called developed economies, developed countries, they are seeking out bilaterals with India. Just yesterday, I was sitting in my chair in the General Assembly, and two members from Japan came over. I said, "Do you want to buy?" I said, "No, we just want to take a picture with India. That we are with India and we want to build it up." So the kind of energy that India is actually placing in the international forum today is being recognized and is attracting people all across. So the change that I see, the transition that I see is today, India is not one among equals. It is first among equals in many ways because US has its different model and it's playing out. China has a very different model. But apart from these two, India comes across as an economy which is so open, which is so diverse, but is also welcoming. And it's not prohibitive, it's not obstructionist, and it's not whimsical. And that is why you find many parliaments wanting to engage with us more and more. In fact, asking more time of us. Nepal came to us and said, "We want to talk to you." Belarus, we had a bilateral. They said, "We want to talk to you." Today, India is not looking for bilaterals. Countries are looking for bilaterals with
Very interesting perspective. I've seen a change across through the course of my career as well. Within this, there are some success stories which are, they seem tedious, but they're actually revolutionary, game changing. The health of the financial system, Mr. Patra, is perhaps crucial. We all remember what happened in 2008, which was a financial crisis, which was posited because of unhealthy practices in a financial system in certain parts of the world. Over the course of the past years, when it comes to our banking sector, our financial services, when it comes to dealing with uh, things that are classified as NPAs, things that are stuck in litigation, that are stuck in a dispute, sometimes even with government or government departments, in places like the NCLT, what has changed? How is this different today? Can you explain to our viewers?
So when we have conversations, and these are conversations about the Indian economy, and I'm glad you mentioned about the non-performing assets. And a lot of economies are today facing a problem of liquidity. They have a large, high amount of non-performing assets that are being written off by the government, which is putting the governments into red more and more. And they want to understand how has India dealt with its NPAs. And that is where we're able to bring out the model of the NCLT and the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. Just to give you some data and statistics, as on 13th October 2025, since its inception, the National Company Law Tribunal, as a model of what India is doing, had already approved plans of 1,422. So that's a huge number of 1,422 plans approved. The cases that have been received under IBC up to 31st of June this year were 52,446. On an average, if you were to look at it, last financial year's cases disposed under IBC in India is more than 10,000. Average resolution of cases in 1 month happens to be around 300. Amount involved, which is resolved in a month by India in under NCLT IBC, is 20,000 crores. If you were to look at the total amount of cases that have been resolved since incorporation till 31st of June, it's 19 lakh 1,261 crores.
So let me put that into perspective for our viewers. If there is a dispute in a company, it might be a financial dispute, it might be a taxation dispute, the company freezes. The bank accounts get frozen, the properties get frozen. That becomes a non performing asset, not only for the company, but for the country. Think of the headquarters, the buildings, the bank accounts that lie frozen. So India has come up with this IBC, which is the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. This is trying to unfreeze those assets by coming to what he has mentioned, plans that are proposals that are set by the NCLT, by arbitration and other matters that go through an approval process, and this injects these economic resources back into the functioning of the economy at the rate of 20,000 crores per month into lakhs of cases. This has, Mr. Patra, I'm assuming, translated into real change for our financial, banking and corporate sector.
Absolutely. If you were to look at the way NCLT as a model has developed, and this is of a lot of interest to the international community here, which is coming in, that more than 50% of such cases have been resolved in 4 years. So the speed and the accuracy with which we are able to do is absolutely massive. If you were to look at, I mean, you very beautifully articulated about the resolution plans to the viewers. If you were to look at it between 2017 to 2025, the total number of approved plans in the NCLT benches is more than 1,200, and the total approved amount for plans is more than 4,000 crores, 4 lakh crores, in fact. So if you were to look at it, the all of this money was lying like junk. You could not do anything.
Yes.
With that is the cost of capital. With that is that cannot be in a liquid form. So what it is essentially doing is dragging the economy down.
Yes.
Today, from 14% non-performing assets that were stuck, we are down to 0.5%. And what do you say?
14% to
0.5%.
So 14% of corporate assets were stuck due to disputes arising from various
People were unable to pay, they were in debt for various reasons.
which required restructuring,
Right.
arbitration.
Correct.
Which is what the IBC is the regulation, is the law that encodes this. The NCLT is the body that actually has to perform it. And you are saying that's come down from 14% to less than a percent.
Less than 0.5%, and reducing further. So if you were to look at it, if you look at different laws as well, we have the SURFACE. If you look at the NPA recovery rate, as per the sources from Reserve Bank of India, I was having a conversation with a couple of colleagues from Malaysia yesterday, that under SURFACE, which is a law, it was 24% recovery rate. DRT, which we have, has got 15%. Lok Adalat was 1.8%, but IBC has given us 48% recovery. So for
nearly half the money.
About 48% NPA of SCB recovery rate is there with India.
And I assume then this has an immediate impact on the banking sector. So we have, I can hope, a much healthier banking sector than even just a few years ago.
Absolutely. If you were to look at State Bank of India, Canara Bank, many of the public sector banks were going down under primarily because they were bleeding red. And they had to apportion funds to actually, for the losses that we're actually incurring. A, you're not getting interest. B, there is a cost of capital. C, there is a depreciation of money that is happening. And D, that money is not, when you're going to get that money, you don't know. So therefore, with all of this, and just finally, just make two quick points. I'm Bangalore in May 2025. I'm Ahmedabad in April 2023. Actually went some surveys. And what they basically said is because of IBC and NCLT, let's say, for example, I have got 5,000 crores in dues. If I go to you file a case against me saying that I've not paid you money,
Yes.
and you go to the NCLT, and I'm afraid that my company will go into insolvency, I'll start paying you back. So this fear has actually deterred a lot of people to start paying up. So that deterrence has also happened in more than 50 to 60% cases. So it's not that all the cases have actually gone in. So if you've gone and filed, I say, please, Mr. Gulati, don't file this. Whatever your money, 100 rupees, I'll pay you 30 rupees today, in 30 rupees and add the next year, and the 30 rupees.
It's encouraging people to for arbitration and settlement of cases rather than continuous conversations. I think the litigation was also a point that you file a case, it'll take 20 years, so what's the point? So it came from that also, what will actually happen.
High courts and Supreme Courts were clogged with such matters that used to go for decades altogether. A company would file a case and say, okay, fine, we will see it, and keep on adjourning the dates. It'll go for years. Now there is a time-bound manner. Now, very interestingly, the IBC amendment bill is coming, which is under scrutiny by the select committee of the Lok Sabha right now. Once that comes in, the timelines are more fixed. In 14 days, what you have to do. In 30 days, what you have to do. Resolution plans, in how many days you have to complete.
Fabulous. About somebody who's been following us for a long period of time would know that 7-8 years ago, we did one of the most detailed studies on NPAs. So I have physically visited prime properties in big cities which are just locked up because of disputes. The property value unlocking, the sheer amount of infrastructure that was clogged up in these cases. Perhaps it's something that we need to discuss in greater detail. It's been a fabulous conversation, Mr. Patra, and I assume that it is being well understood, and perhaps there'll be curiosity amongst a lot of people from all the rest of the globe also on how you've done this.
Absolutely. Various countries globally, wherever we do these exchanges, we have interventions also on committees, because most of it is closed door. So we don't have recordings of that. But there is a lot of conversation that happens, and people are more interested to know about it. And therefore, we are providing them more links. So there are a lot of cards, visiting cards, saying that on this card, can you just send me the links about what is really happening? We would like to do that. Whom can we get in touch with? Who can help us in trying to solve our problems? Just coming before you, I was just meeting the deputy chairman of South Africa. And he was there in one of the events recently. And he said, Dr. Patra, I'd like to learn more about this. Can you connect me? So I said, okay, we'll get you all the details. I'll talk to Cape Town. I'll talk to MEA, and we'll try to fill you. So a lot of energy is being generated.
Can you create high growth, 7% and above, which is where we are right now, without creating a bubble in your financial architecture? And what you're suggesting to us means that yes, we are somehow managing that rather well. Of course, this requires greater analysis and conversation, which hopefully we'll have on NewsX. But for now, Mr. Patra, as always, very good to have you on board our channel, and for having this conversation with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Gulati. Thank you for coming all the way from India to Geneva. And you are the only Indian channel, I must say, on record to our viewers. You're the only television channel, only media channel, so to say. No print, no electronics, only NewsX, which is here in Geneva at the IPU. So thank you for making